Hi, I'm Dr. Avon, and this is All Things Cyber. On today's episode of All Things Cyber, we're going to talk about how I'm talking about you, can pass the Certified Information Security Professional exam on your very first attempt. It is possible. It's a hard exam, but it is possible. Okay, I want to start by being perfectly blunt. The CISSP exam is one of the gold standards, but it is the hardest certification exam that I have ever taken, ever. Okay, so that's out of the way. Now, I understand that the CISSP has evolved into more of an adaptive exam since I took it, which makes it even tougher. But I'm here to tell you, even though it's a grizzly bear of a test, you can pass it. I've been there. I've done it. I'm not going to give you a step-by-step how to do it. I'm going to give you an overview, 6 steps that you have to follow to get there. And I think if you follow these 6 steps, you'll make it, you'll pass, and you probably will even do it on your very first try. But I want you to know that it's a grizzly bear of a test. Only 35% of all people who take the exam pass it on their first try, and it has only a 70% pass rate. But again, you can do it. I did it. And here's how I did it. First, you have to consider your level of IT experience. You have to. When I started getting serious about wanting to take the test, I talked to everyone that I knew that had already had the CISSP certification. And they all told me how tough it was. And they said, unless you've had about 5 to 10 years experience in the IT field, you certainly will not make it on your first try. And I didn't even think to take the test until I had actually had 10 years of experience. And you know what? I got to tell you, they're right. Second, I want you to forget about the dumps. Forget about the practice exams. They're of limited value. You know, there's an entire cottage industry that has sprung up around these practice exams. And there are some other exams, and I'm not going to get into this, and I'm not going to get into the pros and cons and the morality of the dumps and the pass for sure type of exams. But I'm here to tell you, for the CISSP, they guide their test banks, their question and answer banks very religiously. And it's just not, you can't take the practice test and expect it. So I did study using the practice test, but what did I do it for? There was one particular company out there that's got a bank of 1,500 questions. And I got to the point where I memorized 800 of them. And the only thing it was valuable for was it allowed me to do what I call pattern matching. But I'm here to tell you, forget the practice exams, they're of limited value. Number 3, get the advice of the people that's gone before you get started. When I first got really serious about going out there and studying for my CISSP, I got 3 people from my work center that had already passed it, and I took them out to lunch. And I said, lunch is on me, but I'm here to tell you that in exchange for this lunch, I'm here to pick your brains. And that's what I did for the next 45 minutes to an hour. I got every single idea from them about how to go about it. And besides giving me some pretty good resources to study, here's what they said. Here's 2 of the things that they said. First, you got to study really hard about 6 to 8 weeks before you decide to take the test. And then if you want to pass it on the first time, take a boot camp. What is a boot camp? It's one of these 5 to 7 day cram study sessions where that's all they do is they pretty much teach you kind of generally what to expect on the test. And I mean, they just cram a lot of stuff at you, but the boot camps, at least in my experience, were invaluable. Second, and this is the most important advice I got from my colleagues. If you're unsure of an answer, then what you need to do is you need to look at there's 4 A, B, and C, D. 2 of them you can throw out right away. 1 of them, 2 of them might be pretty close. But here's the key. This is a cybersecurity management test. It's not a cybersecurity technical test. So if you don't know the answer, go after the management option rather than the technical option. Now, one of the things that really gets people hung up is that there's a lot of people that will take this test and they come from the technical cyber world. Almost to a person, they have to take that test again because they don't understand it, and they go after the technical answers. This is a cybersecurity management test. Yes, you have to know technical piece of cybersecurity, kind of inside and out. You really do, but you have to. There was probably about 50 questions on the test that I took. And oh, by the way, let's talk a little bit about questions. When I took it, there was 250 questions, and there were 50 that they were using as a bank, but you didn't know what 50 questions. And I'm not sure that I think it's down to like 200, and about 25 are like test questions that don't count, but you won't know which ones. It's 5 hours, and you got to pace yourself. What I did was I took 50 questions, I took a break, 50 questions, took a break, 50 questions until I was done. And that's it. So here, no, wait a minute. Here, or is it over here? Anyway, here, I'll give you a summary. Number 1, make sure you have a solid IT background. 5 to 10 years. Number 2, use the practice tests only for pattern matching. There's some practice tests out there, and there's a lot of practice questions, but when I took my CISSP, I was to the 31st question before I recognized the first one. The dumps have very limited value. Number 3, start by getting tips from people that have already taken it. That's number 3. Number 4, study the preparation material. And there's some very, very good books out there that will prep you for the CISSP for about 6 to 8 weeks before you go to number 5. You got to attend a good CISSP boot camp. There are a lot of them out there. And finally, number 6, the CISSP is a cybersecurity management exam, not a technical exam. You certainly need a lot of technical knowledge to pass this, but it's always the management related answer that's the best, not the technical one. Now, I use these 6 steps to prepare for my CISSP, and I passed it on the first attempt. I'm like, I don't ever want to take that test again. And now, as long as you're getting the continuing education units, and you've got to do 120 in every 3 years, you don't have to do it again. But if you follow the 6 steps that I outlined, just like me, I'm pretty confident that you'll be able to pass the CISSP on your first try. And I'm here to tell you, it's going to open doors for you in the cyber security community like you would not believe. And having a CISSP, it certainly is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars in salary. Well, that's all I got for you. Tune in again for another episode later on of All Things Cyber. I'm Dr. Dave Martin. See you later.